I think that covers, if you do those things, that'll level you up pretty quickly. It'll put you out ahead of all the other guys who are of similar experience level, like 6 months in, 8 months in.
And then, hey everybody, if you've been here before, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, thanks for coming to check us out. I am here with my man Icy Mike. We are going to talk about common mistakes that new strikers make when they're jumping into kickboxing, or even if they're even thinking about getting into competition. Coach Mike,
this is like stuff that BJJ guys do when they come to boxing and kickboxing class.
Yeah, there you go.
The most common mistakes, basically, the reason that you do everything wrong is because you're scared and you're lazy. That's the reason that we do everything wrong.
Okay.
So the biggest one is stance and balance. First of all, like, you spend a lot of time showing people the stance, but you don't show them why they mess it up. Hands up, weight distributed. We'll say evenly at first. There are reasons to distribute to the back, reasons to distribute to the front. But if we're saying just, for all intents and purposes, just even stance, hands up. Why do we mess this up? Why do our hands come down? And why do we end up standing up straight? Because we're scared and we're lazy. Yeah, like if I stand like this, I'm using the muscles in my body to hold me up. If I stand like this, I'm using my skeleton, it's easier. The hands in front of the face, like a lot of times people drop their hands because they feel like they need to see. Right? You're going to feel compelled like you need your vision more than you actually do. You can see this part of the dude's body. You know where the rest of him is, theoretically. So I think a lot of it comes from people like trying to conserve energy. They feel like this is taking too much energy. But what they'll do is they'll put their hands here. Mm-hmm. Putting your hands down is okay. If I'm like this, we're fighting, and then if I go like this, I can put my hands down. I have a problem with new people and their hands are very often like this. Mm-hmm. This is not high enough to defend against anything and not low enough to rest your arms. So just make a decision. Understand that your hands need to be up. And a lot of people don't even know that their hands are down. You'll walk up to them and go hands up and they'll be like, oh, snap.
Do you like binocular? Do you like cheek?
So that depends. That depends. That's me personally. I like this.
Cheeks.
I like to give them my forehead and let them hit that. I'm not saying that that's better. This is okay. This is okay. Whatever version of a guard you use.
Yes, sir.
Even if you're like using some crazy, whatever, up or down. And that's one big mistake. But about the balance, and this is not, a lot of people are going to get this because I'm about to show you a skill that you're not actually going to do in a fight, but you need to be able to do in a fight. And to some degree, this has merit. We're going to talk about stepping on our punches. 1, 2. Okay. Right? What you usually get from new people is their weight's not distributed properly and their hands are low, and they go like 1, 2. And you think like, well, I know not to do that. Like everybody knows not to do that. Let a room full of new strikers do this drill and watch. And you will get some very wonky Frankenstein monster type. Yeah. So you need to be able to step 1, step 2. Putting your feet down at the same time as the punches. And if you can do this, it's going to smooth out the rest of these errors that I'm going to go through. Because the ones that you do all stem from not being balanced or not wanting to, or trying to do things more efficiently and save energy, or trying to see, or any of these things that you don't actually need to do. When people first start striking, they feel like they're over here, and then they got to get over here and then hit the guy. Or they'll resort, and you see this in MMA schools a lot, that don't have a basis in boxing or a basis in karate or any sort of like striking base. They just are MMA dudes that spar. You'll see them be like this far away and try to hit and do like these drive-by type punches, which, don't get me wrong, that's a fine technique. That's a real technique. Right. But if that's the only striking you're doing, it shows more that you just don't understand how to get from here to there, which is the #1 mistake that people make, is not understanding how to move forward while defending and punching, because they have not taken all these little steps.
Yeah, I used to have a student, and he did MMA before me, and he would start like out here, double jab, he would just like start way out. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and it comes from, because if I get right here, like, and we fight and have any change, you can hit me too, which I'm scared and lazy. I don't want to do that. So you have to understand that when you're buying real estate, you're buying a little bit at a time. Which, with each movement, you can make big dynamic moves. There's exceptions where that's a cool thing. But generally, people overestimate how much ground they can cover with their strikes, or how much ground they even need to cover.
Right.
Because if we're out here at this range, this is a good good range for most people. Like, the more advanced you are, the closer people tend to be because they feel more comfortable and they're playing a little game with each other. The more beginner people are, the further out they are, you know what I mean? And they're trying so hard.
Right.
You need to start being able to buy real estate and realize that your punches don't have to land on anything for you to be winning an exchange or scoring. People will want to touch the opponent's face with their gloves, and if they can't, they won't throw.
Yeah.
And you'll see guys in their first fights, they'll be like this far away from each other, and nobody's throwing. And the coaches are screaming their heads off. Throw your jab, and they're thinking like, he's too far away, I can't jab him. You know, throw your jab.
Right.
You might get them to put their hands up, which might let you get closer to land your kick. So that, I think, is pretty much the key to getting beginners into that intermediate stage. When they understand their balance, they understand that their strikes don't have to land to be effective.
Okay.
Like, just divorce yourself from the idea that every punch has to land on a target. Throw punches at their guard. All right? A lot of people get bogged down in like perfect technique at the expense of spending time on strategy. Show them your punch. Get them to block it. Right? Then you'll be able to throw other stuff. But covering ground with your punches, or head movement, or whatever, whatever your thing is, feinting your takedowns and covering ground, getting closer than you feel like being disciplined and composed, and realizing that just because you can't touch them with a punch doesn't mean you can't touch them with another punch. I think that pretty much encapsulates everything I see from most beginners. Like, they just are too far away, hands too low, right? And they are so attached to each punch. Just throw them away. Just throw some punches.
What about kicks?
Kicks, like beginner mistakes. The biggest one is, and I love the pendulum step for the kick. I think the pendulum step is great. I think this is a fine kick. You know, you guys teach Jeet Kune Do stuff out here. Y'all are familiar with that kick.
Yes, sir.
But you can't just wing them out there. It's this step here. Again, it comes from our balance. I've decided I want to kick. I go like this, and then like this. And that tells the guy, I'm going to kick you.
Right.
I'm going to kick you. My head comes up, giving you more information. My foot moves. And so you have to, again, go back to disguising that movement with your other stuff, your head movement, your punches, or whatever. I'd say getting yourself intentionally into position through footwork and not big dynamic movements is kind of the hallmark of that transition from beginner to intermediate. I think it's when you can put your feet somewhere on purpose because you meant to put them there and you knew what that opponent's reaction was likely to be. I think that's when you quit being a beginner and you're intermediate.
The biggest thing I see right now is, or a lot of new kickers, is they'll, you know, like for a round kick, they're just swinging, like they forget to roll the hip.
Actually, you know what? I've forgotten one. This is important. I'm glad you said that. That's totally true. And we can get into the details of every technique. Right. Like, you're supposed to turn your foot on the round kick. That's what JD's talking about, turning this foot to land a proper round kick so you do more damage and don't hurt yourself.
Yeah.
I think traditional martial arts spend too much time punching and kicking air. All right? I think MMA dudes and kickboxers spend too little time punching and kicking air.
Okay.
Because when you take a room full of beginners and tell them to throw their round kick at each other, they might have a pretty good one. Boom. And they'll go one for one, throwing round kicks, right? Boom. And then the other guy throws one. Boom. And everyone looks pretty good. Or a kick in the bag. Everyone looks pretty good. But have them throw that round kick in the air. And you get the... Or especially the Muay Thai and MMA guys who are following through with the Muay... Yeah, they go... Even if on the bag, they're like... Boom! And it looks great. You get them in the air and they're with that weird little toe point thing. Yeah. So being able to throw it in the air and have it look pretty similar to how you would throw it not in the air, that would be a good hurdle for a beginner to get over. Throwing kicks in the air, it's not rewarding. It sucks. It's not self-affirming. You don't feel like you're doing a great job like when you rail the bag with a round kick. Because with a round kick, you can throw it at the bag poorly and still do a ton of damage.
And it sounds cool.
And it sounds cool. Wow. And you bounce back to your stance. Throwing them in the air is not nearly as rewarding. Just launch your combos, have faith in what your instructor told you, and it's probably better than whatever you were thinking.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, sir. Well, cool. You guys made it to the end of the video. You know I'm going to ask. Do me a favor. You like the video, hit that like button. You can see more of Mr. Icy Mike, more of me, and maybe even Sifu Ed if you're lucky. And then if you like the stuff you see on our channel, go ahead and subscribe. Smash it. Hit that subscribe button. And then finally hit that bell icon, ding, ding. And leave a comment. I'd like to see what you guys have to think about some of this stuff. Do you have other ideas? Cool. Well, I'm out. Coach Mike is out. You guys stay safe. That's it.
It's hot. It's showtime.